Thank you very much for that kind introduction, Richard, and thank you for your leadership in founding this organization and founding this summit to come together with people from around the country who are all wrestling with the same issues and hopefully avoiding reinventing the wheel so that we can collaborate and integrate best management practices, best technologies, find out what's working and what's not, and make this thing work. And there's so much going on around the country. A lot of the good things that have been incubated by this organization in the 17 different states and the 37 different projects. But today I want to talk a little bit about sort of the national public policy debate. I know that we have a large audience here from Florida, but also some folks from the other impacted areas of the country who are wrestling with the same resource-based issues. And I think understanding what the mood in our state capitals and understanding what the mood in Washington is clearly impacts this debate. You know, there's really two debates going on in the world as it relates to resource-based industries and agriculture in particular. Everywhere except the United States and in a few other places, but largely there's this debate going on in the rest of the world about how to provide enough arable land to produce enough food to feed an exploding population. There was an article in The Economist not too long ago about sovereign funds purchasing millions of hectares of land in Africa just for the purpose of stabilizing the food supply. The tortilla riots in Mexico sort of gave rise, was a powerful reminder of the old Chinese proverb that when there is food, there are many problems, and when there's no food, there's only one problem. And to see the Saudis and other Gulf states purchasing or arranging long-term leases on millions and millions of acres or hectares of land for the purpose of guaranteeing a stable food supply should prices spike again is a very startling thing, and it's kind of an interesting concept from from a United Nations standpoint, from a redevelopment standpoint of what does this mean? Are we finally seeing real private capital move into that continent that will provide a technology and an infrastructure to lift these countries into a stabilized food world? And what would it mean if there really was another crisis? Are they going to stand by and let boxcar loads of grains leave their country to go to the countries that have purchased that? So it's clearly an indication that globally there is a focus on food supplies and food security. In the United States, significantly, there is a debate really against the idea of large-scale agriculture and modern technologies that improve yields and allow the number one public health crisis in America to be obesity rather than starvation. And the truth has to be somewhere in between there. But it's interesting that there's these two very different debates playing out in the world today. And in the United States, we clearly are dealing with what is now a convergence of resource-based debates. Water policy issues, carbon policy issues, renewable energy issues, and pure production agricultural issues. And they are not mutually exclusive. They are now interwoven with one another from an economic perspective, from a commercial perspective, and from a public policy perspective. And so when you look at the debate taking place in Washington and around the states, you can no longer separate clean water issues, water quality issues, numeric nutrient, phosphorus and nitrates from water quantity issues. In a state like Florida, we have to find 2 billion new gallons of water per day between now and 2025 just to meet demographic projections. From carbon issues, from cap and trade issues, from renewable energy issues, they're all as one now. And States in the Great Lakes region, in the Chesapeake Bay area, the state of Florida, Mississippi Delta, sort of on the tip of the spear of this great national debate. And Florida in particular is watching with great interest and great concern, in my opinion, the evolution of this numeric nutrient criteria debate that's really not coming out of a legislative body, and it's not even really coming out of a regulatory body as much as it's coming out of a judge's chambers through a consent decree. And we will begin to see the effects of that in Florida October 15th of this year. And it will have a profound impact on agricultural production practices, municipal wastewater treatment plants, industry, manufacturing, a whole host of businesses that impact jobs and economic opportunity. But for those of you who are joining us from other states, the train won't be far behind. I mean, I think Florida clearly is being used as a test case here because of the volume of data, just the sheer volume of data that our water management districts and DEP have collected over time. It makes us an attractive guinea pig for the rest of the nation. And that is troubling, and I have no doubt that the Chesapeake is next, and then some of the other sensitive watersheds will be not far behind. But the interesting thing about that is that it's not just waste management, it's not just agricultural users that are in that boat. Everybody will be in that boat whether they realize it or not, and this will, whether people realize it before it takes effect or they don't realize it until after it takes effect, everyone will soon discover that they are all in a very new world as it relates to nutrient management. When it comes to this confluence of issues, I'm actually bullish on the opportunities that it represents for American landowners and for American agriculture. Because I believe that the push for renewable energy and the connection between what is now a nutrient management issue, a waste management issue, and the technology that will allow us to convert something that is currently a liability into something that could be yet another revenue stream is very exciting. I mean, that's sort of the holy grail in agriculture. I mean, for us to find some byproduct of a commodity that's actually worth more than the reason for the farm to begin with. When we look at the potential that's out there in renewable energy, particularly in a state like this with a year-round growing season south of the Frost Belt and plentiful biomass in the northern half of the state, very exciting opportunities for there to be a new revenue stream for landowners. And that, combined with a collapse in the real estate market, has actually put agriculture back on the map in terms of being a viable entity for the foreseeable future. I think that the collapse in real estate values has allowed most full-time farmers to have harvested some liquidity off of their asset that they'd never had before. And in many cases, they're buying back whatever 40 or 100 acre piece that they had sold off from the person with the suitcase full of ideas that didn't quite materialize, and now they're buying it back for pennies on the dollar. They never left the farm. They never left agriculture. They just sold off the corner of the best intersection, and now you have lower barriers to entry for younger brothers and sisters who want to stay in the family business or new entrants into the business, and the largest segment of growth in agriculture in Florida is at the small farm level. That's made possible significantly by the correction in real estate. You can justify agricultural production on that land again. And when you add to that the new opportunities that are out there that are as yet emerging in renewable energy, and the opportunities that are now out there as the result of your work in how we convert a negative into a positive, in other words, how we can solve our Swanee River and Lake Okeechobee dairy waste issues and create a byproduct that's profitable or at least is no longer a liability, then we're well on our way.